I did something last fall that my family still talks about in hushed voices. I spent 10 days living as a resident in a memory care unit. Not because my mind was slipping, but because I wanted to understand what really happens when we surrender control over our daily lives. I'm 79 years old, living alone in my small home here in the United States. And I've spent years telling my children and anyone who would listen, fight with everything you have to stay in your own space. But talk is cheap if you've never walked in those shoes. So I arranged it quietly, packed a single bag with my own blanket and a few cherished photos, and checked myself in under a false name as someone needing short-term respite care. Room 17 on the quiet wing, a window overlooking a small garden that no one seemed to visit. I followed every rule, ate every meal they placed in front of me, and let the routine swallow me whole for those 10 days. What I witnessed and felt during that time shattered every comforting illusion I had about aging gracefully in such places. Some moments were gentler than I feared. Others cut deeper than I could have prepared for. And there were 4 revelations that no marketing pamphlet, no smiling admissions counselor, and no well-meaning visitor ever shares openly. I'm going to lay them out for you clearly. The first thing that overwhelmed me was the quiet that wasn't quiet. I expected constant chatter or the hum of activity. Instead, there was this pervasive, artificial hush, broken only by soft footsteps, distant beeps from call buttons, and the occasional gentle voice coaxing someone back to reality. But underneath it all was a deeper silence, the absence of real conversation, of laughter that comes from shared memories, of arguments even. It was the sound of people retreating into their own inner worlds because the outer one had been simplified too much. The second discovery came during meal times. Everything was served on trays with portion sizes decided by nutritionists, textures modified for safety. I watched a man named Harold, once a passionate home cook, stare at his pureed vegetables with a look of profound resignation. He used to grill steaks and experiment with spices from around the world. Now he ate what was placed before him without complaint, but his eyes told the story of 1,000 lost flavors. The small joy of choosing what to eat, when to eat it, or even how to season it had been erased, and with it, a piece of his identity. The third truth revealed itself when I tried to maintain my personal rituals. At home, I always read the newspaper with my morning tea and made notes in the margins. Here, newspapers were scarce, and when I asked for one, they brought me a large print version from last week. I requested a pen and paper to jot down thoughts. They offered crayons and coloring books instead, for therapeutic purposes. Each small denial chipped away at my sense of self. I realized how quickly we stop being seen as capable adults when every request is met with gentle redirection rather than respect for autonomy. The fourth and most haunting insight was about connection and purpose. In that unit, relationships were managed and scheduled. Group sing-alongs, reminiscence therapy sessions, supervised walks. But genuine bonds were rare because everyone was guarded, protecting what little remained of their private selves. The residents who seemed to hold on to their spark were those who still had a role, however modest. One woman, Doris, 84, spent her afternoons folding laundry for the staff, insisting on doing it perfectly because someone has to keep standards. Another, a retired teacher named Walter, told stories to anyone who would sit with him, even if he repeated them. They had something, anything, that made them feel needed beyond their own survival. But the one who lingered in my mind was a woman called Lillian. She was 77, sharp-tongued, and funny when she wanted to be. She had been a librarian for decades, organizing knowledge for others. Now she spent hours rearranging books on a single shelf in the common area, creating her own little system that only she understood. One evening I sat with her as the sun set. I asked what she feared most about staying there long term. She looked at me with clear eyes and said simply, "Losing the last book I get to choose for myself." On the 10th day, I gathered my things and waited for my daughter to arrive. Lillian was sorting her shelf when I passed by. She paused, touched my arm lightly, and murmured, "Go home and guard your choices like treasure. Once they're gone, getting them back is nearly impossible." Her grip was surprisingly firm. During the drive home, my daughter pressed me for details. I shared what I could, then told her the core lessons I carried back with me. I learned that the real decline in these places often isn't physical or mental first. It's the slow erosion of agency. When you no longer decide the rhythm of your day, the food on your plate, or the thoughts you record, you begin to fade from your own story. I learned that solitude at home carries freedom. You own your quiet moments and can fill them as you wish. In assisted living, the shared environment creates a collective isolation where proximity replaces true companionship, leaving everyone subtly alone together. I learned that purpose isn't optional for the elderly. It's the anchor. Whether it's folding towels, telling old tales, or curating a tiny shelf, having something that relies on your effort keeps the light on inside. And above all, I learned that true independence in later years is measured not by strength or health, but by the ability to make ordinary decisions without permission. Protecting those decisions protects your very soul. I'm 79 years old in 2026. I still wake up in my own bed, brew tea the way I like it, read whatever I choose, and make notes with my own pen. I left that facility not with dread, but with renewed resolve. The memory care unit doesn't claim you on the day you arrive. It claims you the moment you stop claiming your right to shape your hours, your tastes, your small acts of defiance against routine. So find what needs you: a shelf of books, a story only you can tell, a task no one else does quite the same. Nurture it daily. Let it pull you forward and keep you rooted in your own life, in your own kitchen, deciding for yourself.